Anthony Carey with the Pain-Free Movement Specialist and Function First, as well as creator of the Cortex. I've got a corrective exercise for you today that actually is one of my clients' favorites. And it's one of their favorites because, A, we all spend a ton of time on the computer. This is kind of what we refer to as the anti-keyboard position. And it also feels really good. So what we're going to be looking at is how cueing of the rotation into supination, external rotation of the radial ulnar joint really cues things that go on at the scapulothoracic joint and how it facilitates some of those paraspinal muscles. So we can do this, we usually do it hook lying on the floor. We can also do it in the neutral back at 90-90, and even in a progression of that would be to hold the knees up. But the critical part of this is literally what we do with the arms and the rotation. So what I would have my client do would be laying on the floor, okay? And then we're gonna have them bring their arms up on a 45 degrees from the body, okay? And that's pretty important. Now, if that is symptomatic to them, if that causes any shoulder problems, we can modify it by bringing it down a little bit lower, where it could be a little bit less invasive in terms of that subacromial space. But really getting that 45-degree angle lines up the angle of pennation of some of those mid-traps and the rhomboids there. So here I am at a 45-degree angle. Then the next cue is to get really long in the arm. So I'm fully extending the elbows. Then I'm going to make a light fist with the hand. And then once the fist is made, I'm going to supinate and externally rotate. So what I'm doing is I kind of refer to it as using my thumb like a kickstand. So I roll over on that thumb and use it as leverage. Now, while I do that, I have to maintain that long elbow, that extension. What you'll find in most clients is as soon as you ask them to really roll that over as far as they can, so the scapula is starting to upwardly rotate, but then the floor's got them here, and then because we're doing something that's opposite of what typically happens with upward rotation, is we can really feel that mid-thoracic area kick in. But if I do that, the first thing that you'll see is the client will start to reach for a little bit of lumbar extension for some help. Right? So once we get them into position, this is one of the few kind of level A exercises in the Pain-Free Movement Specialist where we might add a little bit more of awareness or positioning of the pelvis. Sometimes we don't bring that in, that kind of cueing, but in this case we might have them kind of keep a little bit more of a neutral pelvis as they rotate through that position. So in order to get there, and what happens is there's going to be a lot of length created through all of these muscles that typically can be shortened in this position. And what it does is it really opens up this space, creates a lot of length. Can create a little neural tension in some people, but it's still, if they come out of it and they, for example, they get a little tingling or paresthesia in their fingers, if it goes away right away, not a big deal. But in general, what we want to do is we are doing it bilaterally, and the purpose of that is to really emphasize kind of what goes on at the thoracic spine as we cue that motion. And it's being kind of communicated from what we're doing here. And as we hold that position, because again, if we hold that kind of isometric static position, it really increases some of the proprioceptive awareness and actually facilitates a little bit more of M1 in the motor cortex, especially for folks that have kind of lost a little bit of that awareness, that contact, even kind of the motor unit control back there due to some chronic pain or some persistent avoidance of using that area. So get in there. We will typically have them hold for a minimum of 30 seconds, sometimes up to a minute. And we will definitely have them control what's going on with the pelvis there with their tilts. Progressions can be raising the legs off the floor, using the abdominals to control the tension of the hip flexors to keep the low back flat, and or we could put the feet on the wall if we wanted to do that as well. Thanks for watching. Leave any questions or comments below.